Hello, everybody, and welcome to my NFL Week 4 predictions. Last week, like the 2 weeks before, I went 9-7. I need something different. I need to get a different amount of wins. Just a different amount, that's all I'm asking for. I said the Titans and Browns would tie, and I was very wrong. Titans got destroyed 27-3. Texans beat the Jags. Colts beat the Ravens, which I'm annoyed about because if they had Anthony Richardson, I would have picked the Colts to win that. But even without Richardson, they won. I said that Dolphins shouldn't have a problem with Denver, and well, I was at least right about that. 70 points against the Broncos. I seriously think Broncos might be. I think Broncos are the worst team in the AFC. I think they're worse than the Jets. I think they're worse than, say, the Texans. They're not going to have a fun season. I got the Chargers Vikings wrong by 4 points. I got Rams Bengals wrong because Joe Burrow was actually there. I got Saints Packers wrong because Derek Carr got injured and Jameis Winston was the replacement. I got Cowboys Cardinals wrong, but then again, who didn't get Cowboys Cardinals wrong? How the hell did the Cardinals beat Dallas? That's a surprise. I think that's all of them though. So, you move on to week 4. And the first game of week 4, on Thursday night, is the Detroit Lions at the Green Bay Packers. These are two solid teams. And Green Bay, I think, have done better than most people expect them to be. Jordan Love is good, but they've got a lot of their squad injured. And I think the Lions need this win to solidify their placement as what should be their divisional win. They should win the division. And this game is what they need to prove it. I am going to go Lions. I think they need the win more than the Packers do. And despite Packers coming back and beating the Saints, that was because of a major injury to their squad. Otherwise, I think Saints would have probably scored more and won the game. Lions they look really good against Atlanta. They stopped the run, and I think they'll get the win in Green Bay. The next game, which is the game played in London, is the Atlanta Falcons at the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is not really at the Jags because it's in the UK. But the Jags do really well in the UK, so it's practically like a home game for them. This one is a toss-up. The Falcons may win if the Jags can't stop the run. Bijan Robinson is a monster. But if the Lions can do it, I think the Jags can do it as well. Although I think Falcons will score more points against them than they did against the Lions. And I think that's evident in the Jags' performance in the past 2 games. Against the Chiefs, they struggled in the red zone, and they just fumbled the game. Not actually fumbled, but fumbled the entire game. They lost by 20 points to Houston. Even so, I am going to pick the Jags. The Falcons may win because they would have been in England for the same amount of time. So they'd both be trying to settle into the time zone stuff, but I think the Jags are more used to it, and I think they'll be able to beat the Falcons. The next game is the Miami Dolphins at the Buffalo Bills. If this game is not on TV, I will riot against the NFL, because these two teams in the past 2 weeks have been powerhouses. But they've not really played any scarily good teams, which is why it's a bit of a toss-up for me. And if we're talking about consistency, such as with who could be injured in that game, and who does well more often than the other team, I am going to pick Buffalo to win. Overall, stat-wise, I think Tua is better than Josh Allen. but I think Miami is more prone to injuries. And even if they don't get injured, the Bills have got a large amount of momentum pushing them forward with 2 back-to-back high 30 games. And in the past 2 games combined, they've conceded 13. Obviously, well, not obviously, but I think Dolphins will probably put up a lot more points than 13 against the Bills. But this should be a very, very good game to watch. The next game is the Baltimore Ravens at the Cleveland Browns. Both these teams have decent offenses, and both of these teams have injured running backs. However, the team that I'm picking to win, I think, has the better overall defense, and I think that's what's going to be the key to winning this game. And that is the Cleveland Browns. I think they will go 3-1 and beat the Ravens. I think home field advantage is also going to play a factor into that. I am going to go Cleveland to beat Baltimore because it all depends on how Lamar does, I think. All depends on how he does. And, well, not all depends. I think the O-line is going to be vital if they want to put any points on the board. And I think they will. I reckon they'll get about 20, 21 points. Low 20s, so like 23, around that area. But I think Browns will be able to just outscore them. Their defense is elite, and I think that's what's going to be the key factor in winning them this game. The next game is the Steelers at the Texans. This is my upset of the week because I am going to go with the Houston Texans. CJ Stroud last week looked better than Kenny Pickett, I think, has almost this whole season. The Steelers' offense is just too unpredictable and too flimsy. And I think home field advantage is also going to help Houston here. I am going to pick them to beat the Steelers, but I wouldn't be surprised if Steelers do win because I think their defense is a lot better than the Texans. The next game is the Cincinnati Bengals at the Tennessee Titans. I am going to say that the Bengals win here. Joe Burrow wasn't injured in their last game, and they won against arguably a much tougher team than the Titans, being the Rams. I think the Titans also have Ryan Tannehill problems because he just struggles to score. Their only win this season was in overtime, and that was against the Chargers, who are known for choking. And I think those problems are going to hurt Tennessee, and Cincinnati is going to also just roll over them, practically. The next game is the Rams at the Colts. Both of these teams have surprised, I think, everyone. And this will actually be quite a fun game to watch. And it's a bit of a toss-up for me. But I think Rams have the better offense. And I am going to pick them to win. I think Stafford is better than Gardner Minshew or Richardson, depending on who's playing. I think he's better than either of them, though, to be honest. Tutu Atwell is insane. Puka Nacua is insane. Not to mention their defense is pretty good. They have lost Jalen Ramsey, but that was in the offseason. And they beat Seattle with it. Nearly beat the Niners with it as well. Without him. With that defense. They've still got Aaron Donald. I picked the Rams last week and I got it wrong, but they still came close. They were within 3. So I think they'll get the win against Indianapolis. The next game is the Denver Broncos at the Chicago Bears. Including the fans of Broncos and the Bears, who cares about this game? These are the 2 worst teams in each conference. It's a bit of a toss-up, but at least the Broncos can score. I don't think the Bears have a defense at all. I am going to pick the Broncos to win. I think that just at least they can do something when they have the ball. Justin Fields just keeps throwing interceptions. And either he has no time to throw the ball, or he has all the time in the world and he makes bad decisions. So the Bears' O-line isn't that great either, but Broncos can probably put up a couple more numbers than the Bears can, and that's why I think they'll get the win. The next game is the Vikings at the Panthers. I think the Panthers' performance against Seattle was pretty good. I know they had Andy Dalton instead of Bryce Young, but they seem to do better than they had in their last 2 games. I think Bryce Young is a little bit overrated, but I don't know if he's actually going to be playing in this game because I don't know if his ankle is going to be healed. If he's not, I'm picking the Panthers. If he is, I'm picking the Vikings. And I think he's not, so I'm picking the Panthers to win. And the Vikings need to stop turning the ball over as well. Eventually their luck will change and they'll start picking up wins again. But I think the Panthers will win in their home game here. The next game is the Washington Commanders at the Philadelphia Eagles. Another divisional matchup, and I think the Eagles are going to end up coming out on top. I think Commanders will beat them later on in the season, but I don't think they'll win in Philadelphia. I think Eagles will go 4-0. They are, quite frankly, the better team. They have a better offense and an even better defense. Washington could get the upset, but I'd say the only reason it would be because they're divisional rivals. And when you're a divisional rival, you tend to get upsets more often than not, I guess. So I am going to pick the Eagles to go 4-0 and beat the Commanders. Speaking of divisional matchups, Buccaneers at the Saints. I would have picked the Saints to win this game if Derek Carr wasn't injured. And because they have Jameis Winston, I don't trust him, and I'm going to pick the Bucs. They brought in Jameis Winston, and they didn't score with him. They blew a 17-0 lead to lose to Green Bay, 18-17. And that's brutal. And I think the Bucs will be able to take advantage of that and finally break the curse of the Saints having their number. Saints could win, obviously, because, well, they have their number. But I trust Baker Mayfield more than Jameis Winston. And I think Bucs have... No, they've both got pretty good defenses, but I think the Bucs defense is a little bit better. So I am going to pick Tampa Bay there. The next game is the Raiders at the Chargers. This one is another game where an injury has flipped my prediction for the game. I was going to pick the Chargers, but Mike Williams is injured. And the lack of run game because Austin Eckler's injured, and half of their receiving duo being injured as well, their main receiving duo, I think the Raiders will get the upset against the Chargers. I think they'll be able to get the win there because I think they have a better defense, because I don't know what the Chargers defense is at the moment. Their head coach is supposed to be a defensive mastermind, but as we all know, that's not true. And I think Raiders will put up more points than the Chargers, and if the Chargers end up missing the playoffs this season, either their head coach has to get fired, or Justin Herbert has to ask for a trade, because no, he got paid. He signed a new contract, but he doesn't deserve this. He doesn't deserve this. The Chargers deserve better. I think they need a new head coach, but who knows when they'll get one, because right now they're suffering. The next game is the New England Patriots at the Dallas Cowboys. Both of these teams are flimsy, because Cowboys somehow lost to the Cardinals last week, and the Patriots' offense is a bit tipsy as well, I guess. They're both a bit unpredictable. I think they both have solid defenses, but I think Cowboys have the better defense. So it's going to come down to the offenses, and I think the Cowboys will be able to put up more points than the Patriots, and that's ultimately what it should come down to. Just how many points will be scored. I reckon this would be quite a low scoring game if the defenses actually do well. If not, it will be a high scoring game. I don't think it will be in the 20s. I think it will be either high 30s or mid teens. That's my score prediction there. But I think Cowboys will get the win over the Patriots and bounce back after losing to Arizona. Speaking of Arizona, next game is the Cardinals at the 49ers. I have the 49ers winning this. The Cardinals can win because, like the Colts and the Rams, they've kind of surprised everyone with the fact that they're actually playing the game, and that this is without Kyler Murray and Buda Baker too. Two of their only three good players, supposedly. They still have Zach Ertz, but still, they can win, but they should be focusing on tanking for the number one pick. But even so, that would be a big help to say Seattle. If Arizona could win. Not that I'm trying to ask Arizona to do us a favor or anything, but Arizona can win because, as I said, with Washington, Philadelphia, divisional rivals can get upsets easier than other teams. Plus, the 49ers nearly lost to the Rams. So, who knows? Maybe the Cardinals will win. But I'm going to go with the 49ers for this one. The next game is the Kansas City Chiefs at the New York Jets. The Chiefs should not have a problem winning against a Zach Wilson-led Jets. Their only win this season was in overtime, and it was on a punt return. Zach Wilson has not won them a game this season, and as we saw what Chiefs did to the Bears, they should have no problem beating lower rated teams. And I do think the Jets are a little bit tougher than the Bears because they actually have somewhat of a defense and a little bit of an offense. But they shouldn't have too much trouble, quite frankly. And if they do, that's just embarrassing, quite frankly. And the final game on Monday night is the Seahawks at the Giants. I am going to pick the Giants to win this. I think the Seattle offense looks good, but Geno and the defense has been looking rusty, and I don't trust them quite yet. Plus, the Giants need a big win if they want to get back in playoff contention at all. And this seems like, just like what they had as a bounce back game against Arizona, this is kind of their bounce back into playoff contention. They need this win more than Seattle does. Plus, they're at home. And while they didn't beat Arizona by as many points as they should have, and needed to make a big comeback in the second half, and with Saquon Barkley injured, I am going to pick them to beat Seattle. I think that's a pretty big upset. I just think it comes down to rust over unpredictability. Rust versus unpredictability. And I think the Giants, with their unpredictability, are going to do surprisingly well. And I think they'll beat Seattle at home. So that's going to do it for my Week 4 predictions. Hope you all enjoyed. I hope I get more than 9 and 7, or, even less than 9 right, honestly. I just want something different. That would be fun. I could go like 6 and 10 for all I care. Just give me something different. But anyways, hope you enjoyed, and until next time, goodbye and have a nice day.